So I'm going to be sitting here all by my lonesome for a little bit, but that's okay. I haven't gone live for a while. When you get here, say hello so I know I'm not just talking to myself, please. I cleaned my desk off just for this, just so I could make another mess. Okay, video looks okay. When somebody gets here, they can let me know if the sound is okay. This is what I did for ICAD 2019. These are all my ICADs. I started off with paper. Let's see, what are we supposed to have? 61, I think. These are my paper ones. Ah, looks like a couple people are here lurking. Hello, hello, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, please. Everything looks okay up there. Hi there. I cannot remember your actual name, Green Macaroni, but thanks for popping in. Can you hear me okay? Okay, you can. Good. Always, first I put it in airplane mode and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not going to work. Nobody's going to be able to hear me in airplane mode. Julie, thank you. I'm making notes. I'm going to make myself cheat sheets on names. Yeah, so this is what I did for ICAD this year. I had an idea. I want to make a whole bunch of little journals. Oh, Cindy, it's buffering. I'm sorry. Sometimes that happens, and we have really fast internet, but sometimes it just, I don't know, it burps. I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing I can do on my end to really improve, at least not that I know of. If anybody else has figured out a way to do that, let me know. But this is what I did for ICAD. If you don't know what ICAD is, it's an index card a day. And there's no rules other than whatever you create is supposed to be on an index card. So I had two sizes here, and I started with my paper scraps and just sort of did little patchworks with the idea that I'm going to make these into journal covers going forward. Let's see if I'm holding these at the right. Is it focused when I do that? Oh, it does pretty well. Okay. So I just, some of these are handmade papers. If it's a scrapbook paper, that's a baby white, paper towel, anything that had color. And I tended to kind of go in color families. I love this one. This is all baby wipes. Oh my goodness, the texture feels so good. So I did a bunch of small ones, and I had a couple of thoughts on making them into journals. One, I did the bigger ones. I really like the bigger ones. One is that I could sacrifice 2 cards like this and make a journal that way. I could put a different kind of backing on it so that I would have this as the cover and this is the back. Or if I want to make smaller ones, I could fold it in half and I could make a journal that way. So I knew I wanted to make a whole bunch. I have an obsessive personality. What can I say? There's some stamp stuff that didn't quite come out right, some book text, doilies. So these are some of my jelly prints, scraps that were left over from the last time I did this, and then I doodle on them. And then I had so many fabric scraps, and I really, really wanted to do them with fabric. So yeah, I kind of went crazy. And what I discovered on these, okay, this one, you guys can't feel it. I wish you could feel this. But maybe you can see the difference. This one, I just did the paper right on the fabric right on the index card. And this one's got a little bit of padding in it. Let's see if that shows. Let me get the other one up there. So it's a little bit thicker. And it actually turned out to be a really good way for me to use up. When I buy lace, it usually has that kind of a jersey knit material as a liner, and it's not something that I would like to sew with otherwise, but I use that to cover my index card first, and it gives it kind of some padding. Like I said, I wish you could feel it because it definitely makes a difference in the way it feels. I think it feels more like a fabric journal cover. And as a bonus, it gives me a chance to cover these corners, because if I don't do that, I've got corners, they're probably not going to show much. Nobody but me is going to know it's there, but it bugs me and I don't want to ink around them all. So this kind of does double duty for me. I use up that jersey, I cover my corners. So this is, and so I've been doing these with, those two are done, but I've been doing these with fabric. I guess that one's done. This was my green phase. You might guess my favorite color, huh? If you are a seamstress of any kind, a quilter, what have you, what I do will probably horrify you. I am not a seamstress. I just, I am in love with my sewing machine though. And so I'm so in love with it that I abuse the heck out of it. What can I say? So after I get all the stuff sewn on, then I add lace. And I've been kind of trying to think about lace and ribbons like the crazy quilts that I see, so that I'm kind of covering some of the seams. And I think that adds a little bit. But what I think I'm going to do now is I want to do a whole bunch of them in neutrals. And then I'm going to hand stitch the lace on and practice my embroidery stitches. And I'm not real good at the embroidery stuff, so I can use all the practice I can get. And this isn't an index card, but this is another one I just cut out of an old manila envelope so that I can fold it this way. I think I put some pictures up on my Poppiness page on Facebook. I didn't do a video. It sold right away, and I forgot to do a video before I sent it off, but they make a real cute little journal. So that's what I'm working on today, is I just want to use up a bunch more scraps. And whoops, I forgot to grab the index cards. I had everything. I was so ready, you guys. So ready. Okay, index cards. Because then what we get to, what I like to do is prep them to this point where they've got the little scraps on them, and I like to get a whole bunch like this. Then I'll go do all the sewing, and then I'll go back and do the lace. And I do the sewing on the machine, and then I'll go back and do the lace. So why haven't I been making videos and doing any live streams lately? Well, my husband's been working from home a lot, which, you know, he's really good about it. If I want to stream, he says, just let me know and I'll shut the door to my office. But I kind of hate to make him feel like he's trapped in there if he's in a meeting. So I've, you know, kind of not done anything with that. And then we started construction on our sunroom, which is joining our house to the garage. And that's really exciting. We got to the point where they got all the rebar set up. They're, you know, just going to pour over the existing cement and kind of make us a sun porch. The inspector came out, and it wasn't our normal inspector. And she, you know, wasn't crazy about one thing that was on it. And she didn't like the way it looked according to the plan. So she asked the contractor to ask the architect to do something else in the plan. So then the contractor said, no problem, I'll contact the architect. Architect is on vacation. So now we have to walk very carefully out the front door because we have like a hopscotch kind of thing of rebar there, and we can't really walk very cleanly. But while they were doing all the demo work for that, it was very noisy and you couldn't really work. And then I launched my Etsy store. Anybody that's watching that has supported my store and gone shopping over there, thank you so, so much. I'm, excuse me, I am a little overwhelmed by the wonderful response that I have received to my digis. I have just 29 items in there right now. Some of my eco prints and my distress prints and some other odds and ends, starting to make some kits. And I just, wow. Tracy Fox, bless her heart, she did a video using some of my papers in one of her altered notebook challenges, and that brought me a lot of people coming to check out my shop. And I just, like I said, I'm just kind of blown away. It's been amazing and wonderful. But then it starts up with all that feelings. I don't know anybody else as an artist feels like this, but you start to think, wow, you know, is this real? Should I keep doing it? I've never had a fear of failure. I've always had a fear of success. I've always been my own worst enemy with anything that I want to take on. And, you know, gosh, I just turned 61 last weekend, and you would think that I would be past that point and I wouldn't be thinking about that kind of thing anymore. But it's not the case. It's like, oh no, these people like me. Now what do I do? What if I can't? What if I let them down? What if I'm not good enough the next time around? What if I stink? What if I suck? What if? You know, I really was hoping I would get past that, and then come to find out I'm not past that. So something I'm working on. Hi, Elaine. Thank you for popping in. Talking about a thank you to all my wonderful people that have been supporting my Etsy shop. I've been so grateful for you and the others that have done that, but it has really surprised me with this fear of success that I have rearing its ugly head with me. I don't know why I feel that way. Need to get over it. There's so many things I want to do. One of the fun things, though, has been, since I haven't been making videos, I have been watching some videos and getting a lot of inspiration from other people. So my list of videos to do is super long. But first off, what I'm going to do probably is some show and tell. I did a lot of eco printing recently, so I've got a lot of papers to show before I scan them and put them in the shop. And then I did some distress prints, which I also want to share. And then I've been making some jelly prints also with the nature themes. So what is everybody working on lately? Oh, I'm glad you're using them. I'm glad. Hopefully everything printed nicely for you. I need to make some lists of directions on how to print things. I'm getting so many questions from people that buy digitals that haven't printed digitals before, and I should have thought about that people might need some assistance. So it's been quite a learning experience with Etsy, but I'm very grateful, very happy with the way things have been going. Well, I sure appreciate your support, Elaine. Okay, and if you're a really good sewer, you need to not laugh at what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna use my glue stick to hold all this stuff down before I throw it through the sewing machine. This is what I'm working on, Elaine. I'm making more of my little patchworks on index cards, or on the 3x5 index cards, and then I'm going to make them into journals. So I cut things up and I glue them down on my card, and then I sew them, and it's become quite the thing for me to be doing while we're watching the ball games at night, is to be sitting here stitching up these things. And it makes a really nice small journal that, you know, pops in your purse real easy. And I'll do a video on making the whole journal when I get some done. But, you know, my obsessive personality tells me that the first thing I need to do is a whole bunch of covers, because I did one from start to finish, posted it, and then sold it, which was really wonderful. But I forgot to make a video. So it's like, okay, now I'm going to make a whole bunch, and then I'll make a tutorial, and then I'll have them ready. We'll see. So I'm only working in neutrals. I sorted out all my stuff by colors. So once upon a time, I had all my fabric stuff sorted by color, and it was wonderful. And then I thought, oh, you know, I'm taking up too much room with all these individual containers. I'm going to dump them all in one container, and that'll be fine. You know, I'll just dig through them. And then I went to make these, and I was like, oh, it made me so frustrated to dig through them. So then I had to sit down and sort everything out again. Julie, that's good. Just ICADs and tags as you clean up. I need to do a bunch of tags too. I went to look for tags for a recent journal, and I can't believe I've used mine all up. So maybe after these journals, I'll make a bunch of tags. And of course, these make good tags too, especially the paper ones. I have done that with the paper ones like this, and then you can cut them down the center or fold them in half, but cut them down the center and then put some coffee dyed paper on the back, and they make a nice tag. Let's see. So there is no rhyme or reason to this. I just sort of pile up a bunch of different shapes that look like, until I get enough that are going to cover this. And it's kind of challenging to me to work in neutrals. You know, you want to normally kind of match things up, and you can't do that as much. Oh, oxide printing. So I watched a video this morning on Miriam's Nature and Marabou, and I love their crayons, the Marabou crayons, evidently has come out with their own line of alcohol inks. And they look awesome. They are much bigger than a lot of the other brands. I don't know, they're 50% off right now at Joggles, so I think I'm gonna order some to play with, because I love alcohol inks, but the bottles are so small that I always like hesitate. I guess the one thing about neutrals, you don't have to think twice about matching things up quite as much. Let's see, I might have enough to cover. I might. All right, glue stick. Oh, I'm using the wrong ones. No wonder I'm confused. I'm using the wrong ones. Glad I stopped myself. I almost made a big mistake. These are index cards that I have covered already. And this, I just very sloppily cut. This is that jersey knit, like I was saying, it uses a lot of the lace dresses and blouses, use it as a liner. And so I use that to cover my corners and give a little bit of padding. Yeah, see, that's just it. The alcohol inks are expensive and the bottles are little, but these bottles from Marabou, they're twice as large, and you can get the complete set. I think there's 27 or 28 in the complete set, 50% off right now at Joggles, $58 for like 27 bottles. So I'm definitely going to order those. The pictures she did were fabulous. They also have 4 metallics that looked beautiful, and they had like a rainbow sparkle kind of thing. So it was a great Miriam's Nature, and the video just came out like maybe a week ago, something like that. So I checked, they are still, at least as of today, still on sale at Joggles and in stock. So I meant to order them before I went online and then forgot. Do you guys ever do this? This is material that doesn't do much for me on this side, but I flip it over and I've got a nice basic muslin color on the, this is what it is, let's see, on the front. And while it's pretty, I'm not that much of a pink girl, and I don't use a lot of pink. And I found this at the thrift store for like 50 cents. I got like 3 yards of it. So I'm using a lot of it on the back side. The pinata inks, oh, that's good to know too. Yeah, it's good that we have options for other places when some of them just get to be so ridiculously expensive. Boy, I'm glad I caught myself before I glued all those down on one that didn't have fabric on the back of it. It just, you know, it's not that thick, but it makes it feel like it's got like a quilted feeling to it. And I love it. And this is just enough, you know, it doesn't have to hold it long term, just long. And I want to do a bunch of these ahead of time so that the glue can dry before I run it through my sewing machine. That's the only thing. This would be another one that'd be good. You could use both sides. That's more neutral, that's more gold. Let's see. Yeah, so real quilters, I'm sure, will cringe when they see some of the stuff I do, but oh well. This works for me, and I'm having a good time, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm trying, I mean, I know November is a long way off, but I'm trying to build up inventory before I go on retreat in November. And, you know, I know I'll sell a lot of the stuff that I make between now and then, but hopefully I can get enough ahead of the game that I will have some stuff that I can take with me. She liked them better? Oh, good. price wise, are they as expensive as the Ranger ones or less expensive, or do you know? I mean, you got to hand it to Ranger. They knew what they were doing marketing wise with people, but you know, our art budgets only go so far. So I'm kind of lopsided on this one, but that's okay. I will make this work. Oh, I forgot to cut the square. Don't like the pink edges showing, and I never know what part's going to get covered by lace. Cheaper than Ranger. Hi, Rosemary. Welcome. I am just playing with patchworky stuff. If you're a quilter, look away because I'm probably breaking all kinds of rules, but show you this is what I'm going for. These were what I did for ICADs this year. And they're just my 3x5 cards, and I'm just making little quilted thingies. I go to a Silomar, which is just about an hour from here. It's a former YMCA camp, and there's a group of about 20 women that I knew from my writing days. So we all were children's book writers, and illustrators. Some of them were illustrators. And we've been meeting for the last, gosh, I guess it's been maybe 10 years now. And we just go for a weekend to get away and kind of recharge our batteries and find out what everybody's been doing, celebrate everybody's successes. And we don't have any speakers because we used to go to the same conferences all the time. And the trouble with conferences are they're so busy that, you know, you're going from this speaker and that speaker that you don't have enough time to catch up with everybody. So we said, you know, we need to go to something private so we can actually, you know, find out what's going on in everybody's lives. And I don't go to writing conferences anymore since I'm not writing anymore. But I love being able to catch up. And I'm super excited to say, so it's not a cheap place to go. This is the first year that I am going, and I am paying 100% of my way with money that I have earned from my art. And that just like is a super mind blown for me. I'm super excited about that. And it's not right on the beach, so we can go and walk on the beach every day, every night. I mean, we're just literally across the road from the beach. The worst part of it all is that the rooms are like an old YMCA building, and the cots are nothing better than camping cots. And so I never sleep very well there because my back complains about the beds, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. Room with the same gal every time, and she lives too far away for us to get together very often. So we count on this time to kind of catch up. And we cleaned the garage last week, and I did find all my boxes of children's books. So one of the other videos I'm going to do this week is I will do a video showing all the books and what I have for sale. And I got prices for US shipping. I didn't get prices for international shipping, but if it turns out that anybody wants them international, I can always look that kind of stuff up. But I had a lot of some books. I didn't have any of some of the others that I thought I had, but I have 4 boxes of books and need the room in the garage. So we'll see what we can do to move those along. Yeah, Rosemary, this is one of my favorite looks. Just this random, I did them with paper too. Just random gluing them together and seeing what happens next. But I know a quilter would go crazy. Oh, that went on my glue sticks. Bonus on this has been using up glue sticks, man, because I know I don't want to have those hanging around. They're going to dry up on me. So I've been using them up like crazy. Oh, let's see. So it'll be interesting to see what embroidery stitches I can figure out to go over these when I'm done. I haven't done any, much embroidery to speak of for years. Yeah, what I do after, let's see. It's easier to see on one of the paper ones. So I did them with paper too. And so I just kind of zigzag all around. And then on the fabric ones and I add some lace, but this time I think instead of sewing the lace on by machine, I'm going to hand sew it with some colorful embroidery thread. And the other thing I do is I cover the index card with something because I like a little bit of the padding under the fabric, so it gives it more of a quilted feel. Just trying to use up these scraps. You know, when I started buying fabric and, well, dresses and blouses and things at the thrift store, I didn't really think about what I needed, how much of something I might need. So it's been a good way to use up things that, you know, I don't think I'm going to use. Oh, and then Rosemary, I'm going to make journals with them afterwards. They're all journal covers. So I did a bunch of eco printing and realized I cannot do eco printing like 100 pages at a time. Oh my goodness, I about killed myself. I had 2 big pots and I just kept filling them up, and didn't think about the fact that when it's done, you know, I not only have to remove everything, but then I like to rinse the leaves and use them again right away to make distress spray papers. And the eco printing was okay, but by the time I got to the distress sprays, I was so tired of those leaves and so tired of those papers, but they were starting to ferment, so I had to really use them up right away. And then I tried to use them a 3rd time. At this age, I just can't, I don't have that kind of energy. My back can't handle that kind of stuff. I need to slow the heck down. Oh yeah, I've seen postcards made like that. I should look at some textile groups. I mean, I don't know anything about textiles. I just keep playing with them. I've told stories before. I mean, home ec made me cry all the time. I had such a horrible home ec teacher. I was sure that, you know, there was no way I was ever going to get a sewing machine again in my life. So nobody was more shocked than I was, except for maybe my, you know, my mom, that I got into sewing. I just love this machine now. And it's right in the middle of the living, well, not in the middle, in the corner of the living room. And my husband, for some reason, says he doesn't mind if I'm sewing while we're watching like the baseball game. So I get all these things set up. And then while we're watching the game, I'm stitching all around. And I have all these upholstery scraps. Yeah, I have a bad habit. I've had this habit all my life. If something is free, I cannot say no. I just really have a hard time saying no. So when I go by the upholstery shop and he has like, you know, 10 of these upholstery sample things out there and says, just take them. And I take, you know, a couple and I go by days later and they're still there. Nobody else wants them. And I go by a few days later and they're still there. So finally I end up taking them all home. Oh gosh, thank goodness for an indulgent husband. But this is a small house. We downsized to a small house with a small garage, and I need to not be bringing, so I'm not bringing anything else in, but I would like to move some of this stuff out. And of course, I'm bad with spatial relations. So Rosemary, yeah, I don't know anything about anything, so I don't know that something isn't supposed to work. That's it. I just keep trying. But I'm really bad with spatial relations. So I will look at a pile of fabric and think, oh, I'm going to use that right up, and not realize that when you're working small like this, it doesn't take very much, and a little bit goes a long way. And of course, I'm never going to use half of this stuff up. You know, I'm not going to live long enough to use this all up. So once I get a little bit more ahead of the game, I'm going to start doing some packets of fabric and papers and stuff. Plus, I think I started collecting a lot of things when I wasn't sure what interested me most. I didn't realize, I mean, I should have known that I would go more towards naturey things, but I didn't think about it like that at the time. What's something else on there? So now I know, well, you know, I'm not going to use scrapbook paper, so I can offload a lot of that. And a lot of the stuff that just isn't my thing anymore, I can offload. Okay, I was right. This was the perfect thing to be doing. It's the other reason I didn't live stream for a while. It was like, I can't figure out what I want to do. Hi, Karen. Welcome from Wales. Glad to see you here. I had a hard time figuring out what to do in a live stream. It was like, that shouldn't be a difficult thing, but evidently for me it was. I really would love to reduce this stash of stuff, but I mean, my little bin is just completely full, and I'm gonna have to make 50 of these just to get rid of these neutrals. I made a few in some other colors, but I really want to do a bunch of neutrals because I think that will show off the embroidery stitches. Yeah, I know, Julie, me too. And I don't want my poor husband to have to deal with all my stuff. So I really am working toward not buy. I mean, I stopped by Goodwill yesterday, but I only came home with 3 lace blouses because I just, whenever I can find the kind of lace that I like to use, I can't leave it there. So I came home with some lace blouses, but other than that, I'm not bringing anything in. I might need glue. I've also discovered I don't use a lot of paint much anymore, and so I'm going to be doing a lot of jelly printing, I think, to try and use up paint. Oh, I got the same thing here. I thought it would be easier with neutrals. I wouldn't be thinking as much, but I find that I'm thinking more about what's slightly different. So what do you like best, Rosemary? Yeah, the mixed media, I mean, paper has always been my thing. I love paper, and torn paper collage was my thing. That was my gateway drug into art, because when I was writing full time and I would get writer's block, I needed something to do to kind of break the block. So I took a collage class locally, and that just kind of hooked me. You know, it was like paper, glue. That was awesome. That's all I needed was paper and glue. And trying to work my way back to that. But the paints, I like the paint for jelly printing, but beyond that, I've never been anybody that could paint anything recognizable. So I like it more for backgrounds and abstracts kind of stuff. But now it's paper and fabric, and paper is fabric to me and fabric is paper. I treat them both exactly the same. Eco printing, yes, definitely. Yeah, lots of scrapbook paper. I'm thinking I need to copy you, Rosemary, and do some of your flowish journals to offload a bunch of that scrapbook paper. That's the best name. I love it. Plus, I'll have more room for more stuff, right? I just love making my own paper. Although I do have quite an extensive collection of other types of paper, like with all the funky names, tie paper and banana paper and that kind of stuff, because I use a lot of that with the torn paper collage. And I really want to get back to doing torn paper collage on canvas. It's been a couple years since I've done stuff like that, and that was one of my favorites. But fabric, when I discovered that fabric didn't hate me as much as I thought it did back in school, wow. Yeah, I have that on my list too, to make actual paper. I haven't made any, but I bought a lot of other paper from other countries that has been handmade in other countries, and the textures and the colors. Oh, whoops, I already have that one on there. Let's do this one. And there's just so many things you can do with paper. I have so many magazine images. I need to just get rid of all of them because I don't use them in anything. I'm not into glue books. Don't thrill me. I started an en masse book and realized that the hunt for the images was fun, but just the gluing them in the book didn't do anything for me. So I've got ridiculous amount, almost as ridiculous amount as my fussy cut napkins, which, you know, Karen, I thought I was going to love assemblage. I save so many things, and I realized I love looking at assemblage, but I don't like doing assemblage. So I just donated all my metal and odd piece things, 3D kind of things that would work well in assemblage. I just donated those to the senior center because I just was like, no. Oh, steampunk. I see. It's one of those things I love to look at, but just doesn't. And I probably have a whole bunch of watch parts and steampunky kind of things that should probably go find a new home because I probably won't ever do anything with them. Okay, I honestly chose neutrals thinking it was going to be the easiest one to do. I was so wrong. Yeah, junk versus treasure depends on whether you're asking me or my husband, although he's been a real sweetheart about saving me things that he thinks I will use. He'll come out of his office with boxes or papers and ask me first. But I've got, like, in the garage, I have got tons of brochures and trifolds and things, and I realize I'm probably not going to do much mixed media over those. I will probably just make my own journals. So I don't know, I might use up some of my paint making those, or maybe I can find some kids that want to do some journals like that. Don't like those pinked edges. Yeah, and that's, I think that's what so many of us do, is that we just try all these different things until we find, what makes our heart beat a little faster. And then my thing is telling myself that it's okay that I tried things and decided that some of the stuff wasn't for me. I always make myself feel bad for, oh, you did this and you spent that money on that and you didn't use this. And it's like, no. My husband, he just says, you're learning who you are as an artist. He said, you didn't learn how to write and sell books overnight, and you certainly didn't sell the first, few books that you wrote. I was like, well, he's right. But still, I guess also we think, oh, it's paper and glue. It's just paper and glue and scissors. There's no just about it. I see some of the magnificent creations some of these people create, and it's like, wow. Wow. But you have to try things, but you don't have to buy, just because you see somebody mention something online, you don't need to go right out and buy it. And I did a lot of that. I was really crazy like that. Again, thank you for the indulgent husband, but I had also been transitioned out of my day job at the same time I kind of really got into art, and it sort of helped soften the blow about not having the day job. Not that I liked the day job. I was definitely overworking in high tech, but it's a transition any which way you look at it, to not be working, your normal job anymore. Just need a little something. So what have you guys tried that you thought you would love and discovered was just not something that you wanted to invest any more time in? Like for me, definitely it was assemblage. I thought I was going to love it, and it wasn't for me. Hello there, sweetie. How are you? You like the actual sewing of the journals, or do you like the putting all the odds and ends in? You know what still gives me pause on journals, no matter how many I make, is corners. I hate that I struggle with corners. I don't struggle, but I mean, I always hesitate, and it's like, oh man, is this one going to come out right or not? I'm glad you came in to say hello. Malaya makes me laugh every single day. I know, if I'm feeling down, I can go over to her page and read a few posts, and she's going to make me laugh and giggle. Usually wakes up the dog, who is being extremely quiet today, but it's probably because it's so ridiculously hot. We get a few hot days, but this has been pretty bad. Oh, Rosemary, me too on the stamps. Because to me, no matter what I do with it, a stamp still looks like a stamp. It doesn't look like something organic to whatever it is that I'm working on. And I'm seriously thinking about getting rid of like 99% of my stamps. I like the ones that have phrases on them because I can't write neat enough, and sometimes I don't want to do the printing from the computer. I like building the pages, Elaine. I really do. I like that part a lot. My journals aren't heavily embellished, but I like picking just the right pages and doodads to go on the sides. But stamps, yeah, I don't even want to think. That's the other thing. When you start to get rid of stuff, oh my goodness, you can't think about how much you spent on it. Your glue stinks. Oh my goodness. I have not had that. Oh, that's kind of disheartening. I hope you don't have a whole lot of that kind of glue. Were you thinking if you glued all the papers down and then did something over them, you'd get rid of the cigarette smell? More water, more water. Malay, you came in late. This is what I'm making. More of my ICAD cards, just with neutrals right now. Guess if I'd have been really prepared, I would have had all my little squares cut out ahead of time, but it was nice that I got my desk cleaned off so I could do this. Oh no, 96 sticks. Oh. Yeah, I like the neutrals. It gives me a lot of options when I do the next, when I do the lace. I can either do the neutral lace or I can do my colored lace over it. Wow, 96 sticks of glue. I've been like going through glue sticks like crazy. I want to be down to where I have nothing but my Yoo-Hoos left because that's my favorite glue stick and that's all I'm going to buy from now on. But even then, I think I probably have in the garage, which I should probably go find because the heat's probably melting everything together. I need to get stuff out of the garage that's going to melt. Dropped my glue stick. And I realize there are probably a whole lot simpler ways to do what I'm doing, but I get as much joy out of gluing these little bits of fabric down as people do with, I guess it's a fabric glue book kind of sort of thing. I just said earlier that I wasn't crazy, the glue books didn't do it for me anymore, but this does. Maybe that's it. This is my version of a glue book. Oh, I hope they aren't all stinky too. Wow. That, wow. I have not had that. Thank goodness. Just has to hold it long enough for me to get to the sewing machine. So my sewing machine is this cheapy Costco special, which was great. 99 bucks, I think, is what we paid for it. And it was a great way for me to decide whether or not I liked a sewing machine. But I have a hankering now for some fancy stitches. So I might have to go buy the Project Runway model just so I can get a few more fancy stitches. I've got a zigzag, but I want the leaf one. What is the brand of glue? Was it just like an Amazon brand glue that they had on Prime Day? I didn't buy anything on Prime Day. This is like the first. My husband bought some stuff for rebuilding his computer, but I didn't buy anything. I'm shocked. Some other colors here. Yeah, I have some dragonflies and bees and butterflies. The flowers, I'm going to go through and reduce a lot because a lot of my flowers are more, I don't know, they're just a different style. They're not my style. Any of the ones that would look more, yeah, organic looking. but I need to just like let them go and not think about the ridiculous amount of money I spent buying them, because it was a ridiculous amount of money. And then I can think about how much room I'll have, you know, when they're done, when they're gone. That bugs me. I want it to fit right up there. And I'm going to get rid of a bunch of napkins. I love napkins, but there's no way that I need all the napkins that I do have. No freaking way. These napkins don't weigh a lot. They're cheap to send out. Oh, it's all Elmer's. Interesting that Elmer's would be stinky. Huh. Well, I hope you don't have to suffer through that with all of them. I don't even remember how I found art journaling. I think I was looking for more collage stuff online because I was so fascinated with collage. And I think I found, there was somebody that had like, it was a Ning, N-I-N-G forum or something like that with art journaling, and found Tisha Moore and some of that kind of stuff. But I realized I like to doodle, but I don't doodle a lot. So some of the stuff, it was more eliminating what I didn't like to do. Well, not that I didn't like it, but that wasn't like getting me super excited. And you really need to find the stuff that gets you super excited if you're going to spend your time and your money. I mean, when you start buying supplies, you got to make sure that it's something that you really want to do. And I didn't do that in the beginning. Now I realize that if I just tell people that I'm looking for certain things, I probably don't have to buy stuff anyways. Every time we go over to my in-laws' house, they have different plants in the yard than I do. So I come home with scads of leaves to stick in the freezer for eco-dyeing. And then once somebody in my book group found out that, you know, I was looking for leaves, she brought me a bunch of leaves. Somebody else brought me ferns. Have fun with the ice cream truck. Good to see you. However briefly, you always make me smile. Hope you sell lots of ice cream. Bead making is, well, not, I don't want to make jewelry, but making beads like boho beads and that sort of stuff. I love that. I haven't done a lot of that for a while. I need to, because I went crazy. Oh my goodness. There was a day when our Goodwill packages up all their jewelry in like little goodie bags. And almost all the time I go in there, you know, they're not available for senior discount day. They're not available, you know, so I only go to Goodwill when it's senior discount day. And I went in one day and they were all like marked down, and then they were available for the senior discount. And I bought, I don't know, I think I bought like 8 bags. It was ridiculous. And then I came home and took all the jewelry apart. I have so many beads. I need to make a ton of bead stuff. I really do. But all I do is make dangles. I don't really, I put them on my tassels. Oh, glass beads. Oh, 400 kids. Oh my goodness. Good luck. I would be going nuts by the end of that many kids. I don't do well around large groups of kids anymore. I'm past that. So what supply do you not have enough of, do you think? Anything? I can't think of anything except for maybe Fabri-Tac. I always feel like, you know, whenever I empty a bottle, I need to go order another bottle, even though I probably don't. Glue, yeah. Oh, lamp work. Ah. Yeah, you know, one kind of glue or another. It seems like whatever it is I want, if I'm working with glue sticks, I'm down to the last set of glue sticks. If I'm working with Fabri-Tac, I'm down to the last one. Let's see. Keep telling myself this is going to be fine. They're going to look fine once they're covered with lace and embroidery. But at this stage, they always make me kind of go, whoa, what was I thinking? I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing a video? I really hope to make a few more videos this week. I don't think we'll have any construction back here again until maybe next week. I don't know. Yeah, Julie, I know. We got to live a long time. I have one friend that's, she's so good. She like tells herself, okay, this container is full. This is the container I've allocated, the whatever it happens to be. And then she takes half of whatever, if the container's full, she takes half of it and donates it somewhere. And then she's got room to fill up something else again. But I need to, I need to get past the thing of, oh my goodness, I paid money for this. Or I beat somebody out in an eBay auction for this. I need to let that go and just, if it doesn't look like, if I haven't touched it in a couple months, how about I let it go? Thread. I did not have enough thread. I actually had to order thread the other day, and luckily Joann's had it on sale. We don't have any fabric. Well, we have a fabric store like 20 minutes away, but their prices aren't any bargains. We don't have a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby, so I buy everything online when I'm shopping for that kind of stuff. So Joann's had it at a pretty good price, and I had to order some threads. I always order the big spools, and then I make a whole bunch of bobbins. I cover a ton of bobbins, wind a bunch of bobbins when I get it, so that I've got like 10 bobbins of that particular color. Oh, I love your rusted fabric, Rosemary. I've got some rust water building, so I can get some more rusty items. We accidentally tossed a bunch of my rust stuff when we were cleaning off the deck, in the spring, and I hadn't gotten around to getting some more stuff together yet. Okay, Julie, you're just going to be one of those crafters. You go to your grave still, stitching and gluing and painting, right? I love that idea. Are you going to get your machine all fixed up, Elaine, so you can use it? I have to do this ahead. At least I'm smart enough to know that I have to let my glue dry before I put it through my sewing machine. But I tell you what, for a cheapy little machine, it's been pretty good. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6, more than I thought I did. Well, he knew, but he just wasn't. He was like, once in a while he gets in this mode where, we're just going to clean all this stuff up, and he'll ask me about certain things to, whether this is something that we need to keep. And usually he's pretty good about keeping everything, erring on the side of keeping everything as opposed to getting rid of stuff. And he just was going crazy, and I was working on another part of the yard and didn't pay attention. Luckily, I didn't have any like really neat pieces of metal were in a big pan, but a lot of the small stuff that I used for making the rust water gone. But we are getting part of the deck recovered so that I can have more of an outdoor studio in the summertime, because of course that stuff's so messy. I can't do it in the inside studio. And that'll make it a little bit easier. He'll know that everything in that area is kind of off limits. He doesn't normally get in the mood to go out there and clean like crazy, but the outdoors is pretty much my area. He's the chief cook and bottle washer. I tell you, I'm so grateful. I am not a good cook, and I don't enjoy cooking, and he loves it. So he does all the cooking and shopping around here. Yeah, maybe, Elaine, maybe it's better, especially depending on how much it's going to cost you to get it refixed. I'm amazed. I mean, I don't think I need a super fancy computerized machine, but I am lusting after some of the stitches I see on like one of those Project Runway models. I might have to put that on my Christmas list. Oh, those were bees. You can put some bees on here. The only part I hate about dealing with the rust dyeing and that kind of stuff is just the mess and rust caking, you know, falling off and trying to get into areas where it's not going to get where the dog is going to get into it. And because I'm haphazard about the way I do all that kind of stuff. I am not a neat crafts person at all. I'm all over the place. Oh, foot control. Wow. Yeah, this one was cheap, but I didn't think at the time that I wanted anything. It's just, I want, like, I see some of the leaves and flowers, and I would like to be able to do that with the sewing machine. So I will probably, whenever I get another one, I will get it based on what stitches it has. Here in California, well, in our part of California, we're in the mountains, so we get a few days where it's, you know, in the hundreds, but like today it's 90 something, I think, and that's pretty hot for us. It's unusual, but we have AC. Normally people in our area don't have AC, but I am old and don't handle heat well. The older I get, the less well I handle it. Hey Liz, hi there, how are you? I was wondering if I would see you today. I know I haven't been on for quite a while. Construction out front, which would be like literally 4 feet from where I work, definitely not conducive to trying to do any kind of a live stream. I keep thinking I'm going to get like a routine with the outside stuff. I mean, I build my papers for eco dyeing inside, then I take them out, then I have to rinse them outside, but we're going to put a covered sink, or put an outdoor sink in the covered area, so that will be easier. You bought one based on the stitches? What do you have? I can't remember whose machine it was I saw that had not just the leaves, but had flowers, and that just really, I was like, oh, I want to be able to do sewing machine flowers. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this little Costco special, brother, but I didn't realize that I might want to do more, and that's okay. I mean, I'm glad I bought a cheap one to decide whether I liked it or not, because if we'd have bought an expensive one and then I discovered that I, you know, was still traumatized by high school home ec classes, it would have been frustrating to have spent all that money. Wow, no matter what I do, my entire desk now is covered with little bits of fabric. This is, you know, we always do this, right? Where you end up with this little tiny section that you're working in. You don't have any more area to work in because your stuff keeps sprawling. There's no way around it, I don't think. Liz, does your sewing machine have a flower stitch? Guess it wouldn't be bad to have a spare, you know, if I buy another machine before this one dies, and that means if something happens and this one is in the shop, or my new one breaks down or something, I'll at least have a way to, you know, still do some kind of sewing. Because boy, once you start sewing on paper, you don't want to stop, do you? I know. Well, I'm pulling them out. See, they all fit in my little tub, my little dollar store tubs that I love and I use for storing all this stuff in. So they all fit in this, and I had it sideways and just keep dragging them out. That's okay. My other desk in here is clean. My floor is just filled with all my little tubs with the different color scraps. And when I finish this live, I will clean off this desk, I think, so that I can hopefully make maybe at least one video before my husband comes home from the office. I mean, I've been glad he's been able to work from home lately because the commute is kind of stinky to go over the mountain. It's better in the summertime than in the wintertime, but we have a lot of tourist traffic. It has small flowers. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to check in with you in a week or so, Liz, and see if you still love it. It has flowers. I don't know why that just, well, yeah, I know why, because I love flowers, but I want to be able to do that. I should probably change the needle. I have had my machine for 6 months and I have never changed the needle on it. So it would probably be happier with me if I changed the needle, right? Which I think it came with a few needles and I might have ordered some ages ago. If I get another brother, hopefully the few attachments that I bought for this brother would work, and the bobbins, because I bought like 100 bobbins so that I love just to have all those bobbins ready to go. So I've got like 10 bobbins of beige, 10 of brown, 10 of green, 10 of red, the colors I tend to use most often. Okay, you haven't changed yours either? Okay, I won't feel so bad. I blow everything out with air, you know, with the canned air pretty frequently. So I try to keep it clean. Probably going to have to vacuum. And so, of course, the desk that I'm working at is the one desk that is on carpet, not on hardwood floor, which would make it so much easier for, you know, just sweeping up all the threads, but that's okay. The vacuum cleaner and I are not on the best of terms. It's one of those Dysons that does a really good job, but works much better for my husband than for me. So he does a lot of the vacuuming. I can, however, operate the robot vacuum that we have in the bedroom. And we try and do that every couple of days because our big dog sleeps in the room with us and she sheds all the time. So try and keep up with the dog hair, and it's on just a half a step higher than the rest of the house, so it just does the master bedroom, master bathroom. And something went boom outside and the dog goes running. It's really weird living here in the mountains. I never thought about it before, but you know, we've got all these peaks and valleys and ridges and what have you. We're up high on a ridge and sound carries like crazy. And our poor dog, she just goes nuts with some of these sounds. She's a German Shepherd. She's very nervous about a lot of these noises. What kind of fabrics am I using? I've got all kinds of things. So a lot of these are upholstery things that came from the upholstery sample books that the guy gave me. So there's that. There are things like this is an old sheet my mother-in-law gave me that had one sheet had all these really neat patterns on it. This is from a dress at the thrift store. This is upholstery stuff. When I go to the thrift store now, I look for, and I don't have them in this neutrals color here. I have them over in my colors. I always look for small patterns. I look for cotton and small patterns because I think that goes well with the types of journals that I like to make. So sometimes I get lucky there. I look for sheets because they have some really interesting patterns usually and some bright colors if I get them where they're not like all super washed out. Shower curtains. Shower curtains are beautiful and have gorgeous patterns on them. So I'm always checking out the shower curtains. Baby clothes, if they have them on a really good sale, they can have really small patterns, which are, like I said, nice to find. But so probably a lot of the fabric that I have in there now are sheets, pillowcases, which might have smaller patterns than than the larger pieces, you know, that would go with the set. Clothes. I just went crazy with all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I find actual fabric, but it's funny. The fabric itself usually doesn't excite me as much as finding an item of clothing that has a kind of a pattern that appeals to me. This is a tablecloth that I'm gluing down right now. Tablecloths and napkins. I found a napkin set out at this one thrift store that's got really good prices. We don't have the one in town here is kind of expensive unless I get it on the senior discount day. But the other one, I found this set of cutwork embroidery napkins that are fabulous. They're going to all be journal covers. All right. Maybe we'll do one more. And then lace tablecloth. Sometimes, you know, I'm always looking for lace that has stuff that I can cut apart. But this was a tablecloth and it just didn't do a whole lot for me on its own, but it's going to make a great backing. Let's see. Find one of my. So I just covered one of my cards with just some muslin, and then I've got my lace thing here. So I can have the quilted part as the front and the lace covered part as the back. And then I'll probably just do a muslin strip with a single signature in there. And sometimes I don't go all around the edges. Let's see. No, that one I did that too. All right, so this one I just went all the way around the edges with the zigzag. But this one I just went kind of wild, and that works too. Especially with the padding underneath it, so it gives it that kind of a quilted look. Like I said, a normal seamstress would be horrified watching me sew. Heart would start racing. Like, no, don't do that. But I figure I'm not hurting anybody. I'm having a good time. It makes me happy. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't discount anything fabric-wise. I try to look in every department. Men's shirts are also a great source of a lot of fabric because they don't usually have, you know, you don't have to worry about pleats and other things to take apart. I get a lot of fabric out of men's shirts, but tablecloths, shower curtains, and the thing about shower curtains, then sometimes you get a liner with them. So sometimes you get two pieces of material, you know, for one. The liner might be plastic. It might be just another cloth liner. I'm always willing to pay a little bit more for, say, a dress or something if it's going to have a lining material. Like a lot of them will be lined with muslin, and I can, of course, use that for all kinds of stuff. So, and like I said, the jersey knit, that's what I covered these cards with first, is the jersey knit that's underneath a lot of lace. And yeah, the local upholstery guy, I mean, I have so many upholstery scraps, it's insane. So if there's a place like that you can look for. Oh, free motion. Awesome. Yeah, mine does not have the free motion capability with it, but I bought they told me, because I can't drop the feed dogs, but I bought a darning foot, I think it is, and I can kind of maneuver the same way, you know, as I would on that. But okay, I'm gonna have to go check out what you bought and see, because I love the idea of the free motion. You can really get some great effects with that. Julia with stitches, or stitches with Julia. I think it's stitches with Julia. I like watching the things that she does with free motion. I save my threads and tiny scraps because I want to do one of the things that she's done with that, where she creates her own fabric by stitching all over that. No shower curtains much. Tablecloths. What other sources of fabric? I'm trying to think. And then I used to do a lot of that kind of shopping on eBay. I don't do that anymore. In fact, I haven't bought anything on eBay in probably a year. That's unheard of for me. Whoops, forgot to cut that little edge off just in case it's gonna show. Well, this is great. I'm gonna have lots to do tonight now while we watch the ball game. Go Giants! Our Giants are doing great. Because I'm not one of those people that can just sit and watch TV. I have to be doing something else while the TV's on. Car boots. Oh, is that like our garage sales, right? One more little thing that's a little different. Come on. One more. This will do. I have not been to one of the garage sales around here for ages. The thrift shops were enough. I'm afraid that I would just like go crazy. Do too much. Not quite big enough. All right, put this one here and put this right here. Okay. Now, okay, Liz is going to be going online shortly. So, and I think I got a nice amount done. Let me get done here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's good. I feel good with that. 9. Maybe I do one more. 10 is a good number, right? 10 is a good number. Let's get to 10. 10 is good. One thing I notice when I'm doing this while chatting with you guys is I am doing it faster. I'm not thinking as much about, oops, that one's dead. I'm not thinking about what goes together quite as much. So that's always good. I always overthink when I'm arting. No matter what I'm trying to do, I think way too much. Yeah, the will of a noodle. I hear you. I hear you. I take my husband with me to those kind of things though, because he helps me like stop and think first. And it's like, okay, do you just like looking at it, or is it something you think you're really going to use? I mean, if it's something I think I'm really going to use, he doesn't say anything about it. It's like, go for it. But he does make me stop and think, okay, are you really going to use that? And now that I know more what direction I want to go with my art, I'm saying no more and more often. Like I have a lot of old photos, and I mean, of course I'm going to use those, but most of them I'm going to use, but people were saving things for me from old scrapbooks and vintage, the things that we would put, I don't think they do that nowadays, but I'm 61. The scrapbooks, you would get the little tiny invitations or the birthday cards, the vintage cards, that kind of stuff. I've had several people give me gobs of that kind of stuff, and I don't use that kind of stuff in my journals, so I'm going to have to offload all of that stuff too. Offload a lot. All right. Zip, zip, zip. This will be number 10. That is a good number. A single loose cannon. Oh, Elaine, I'm sorry about your uncle. Thank you so much for taking some time to stop in and visit. I want to see some pictures of your current journals when you have a chance. Post them somewhere, tag me, let me know so I can see them. Bye, Rosemary. Thank you for stopping. Yeah, Liz, we do need to always be doing something. Well, maybe the next one I come on, I will be able to show you guys the finished journals from these. Come on, just pick something. Get to number 10 and be done. It'll be so cool. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking some time to come chat with me. I'm not having a regular time, and I don't suppose I will ever have a regular time. It just doesn't work with my lifestyle to try and commit. I would feel devastated if something happened and I wasn't able to get on when people were expecting me. So I think I'll still just stick with random times. Bye, Elaine. This little thing here bugs me. And my husband's still not back from work, so that means I've got quiet. So maybe I can go ahead and do another video. At least some flips of my recent papers, maybe. Okay. Some of these things maybe need to be ironed. They would glue down a little bit easier, but I try not to take that much time with scraps. Oh, so close, so close. Come on, find something. The neutrals, they all look the same. There's a little bit of different texture, but where's it gonna go? I feel like I was like this little, Jeopardy clock hanging over my head. Do 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 do. What can she get done? I don't have that one on there. Let's make a big square. That will go perfect there. There. And there we go. And ta-da! There we go. There is 10. All right. I think that's going to do it for me. I have 10 of these to stitch up once the glue dries. Thank you again so much, everybody, for stopping over, and thank you for those of you that have checked out my shop on Etsy. I really appreciate the support. I should be having some new things going up in there probably this weekend. So I will catch you all next time. Bye for now.